I'm going to turn this over to Bridget Quinn. This is Bridget Quinn.
Hello.
She is I forgot your title, an apprentice trainer for the Apprenticeship Union. Are you still doing the head of JATC?
I'm the chair of the union coordinators group. So I run that group of denizens.
Which means you basically know all of the apprenticeship trainers and all of the trades?
Correct. Yes. I have a good relationship with everybody from all of the trades. So whether you want to be a union carpenter or a sheet metal worker, iron worker, I know all those guys and gals. So I can definitely point you in the direction if you guys have questions about that. At the end, if electrical's maybe not what you really want and you want to check out some other trades, either I or I believe Eric probably also has their contact information.
Yep.
So thanks for coming on today. It's good to have such a big group. Can everybody hear me? It looks like some of you, that was earlier. Hopefully everybody can hear me okay.
If you guys have a question while Bridget's talking, I'll interrupt once and I'll be done. If you have a question, go ahead and type it in the chat window. And then if we have a pause, we can look down and read those. Can you see the chat, Bridget?
I sure can. Yeah, I can see Jacob wrote he can hear me, so that's good. Thanks, Jacob.
Okay. So take it away.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for showing up. I'm going to talk a little bit about becoming an electrical worker. I am an electrician. I went through the 5-year Inside Wireman apprenticeship program at the training center that I now work at. So our training center is located fairly close to your school. We're located on Northeast Airport Way, so up by the airport on the river, Columbia River. Our training center is huge. We just even added about of training space to it, which means we now have more water class for our students to practice their there's a lot of noise, like crackling or something coming over the mic. I don't know where that's coming from. So I got some good questions here. How do you not get scared of getting electrocuted? So to become an electrician, we go through training. We go through a lot of training, and the foundation of that training always starts with electrical safety basics, not just electrical safety, but construction safety, which I'm sure a lot of you have already learned a lot about in your construction class. So ladder safety, how to position your body correctly, even just to minimize wear and tear on your body and on your joints, which is important. So as far as not becoming electrocuted, because we're electricians and we are training specifically for electrical, it means that we are learning how to work safely around electrical hazards and to identify electrical hazards that we can eliminate those. I'm not going to say it's not a risk, but it's also really not a risk, or it's a risk really for anybody working in the construction industry, because you're working around electrical constantly. Homeowners working, maybe painting the side of their house, getting too close to the wiring. So that's how I'll answer that question. I'm getting a message that the audio is really bad. I live out in the country where my internet is pretty horrible. Is it still bad? You guys can hear me pretty well? Okay. So I'm going to go back to these questions after I go through my presentation, because I think that my presentation is going to cover a lot of your questions. So I'm going to share my screen with you and pull up my PowerPoint presentation. I'm not going to rely too heavily on the PowerPoint because I know that can be a kind of dull way to learn. And so we're going to go through the PowerPoint pretty quickly, write down any questions that you have. I'll come back and look in the public chat and see what kind of questions we have there. Okay? Let's see. Okay. Eric, can you unmute your mic and let me know if you can still hear me while I have this slideshow up?
Yep.
Okay, great. Okay. So apprenticeship, for those of you who aren't too familiar with it, it's basically a combination of on-the-job training and classroom instruction. So you're going to learn the bulk of what you need to know about becoming an electrical worker by actually working on job sites. So using tools, working alongside licensed electricians, they're going to teach you how to work safely. They're going to make sure that you're using the correct materials and you're using the tools correctly. And they're going to show you how those installations go together. So when you're working on the job, you're earning a paycheck, and it's really about production. You know, you want to get that job built for the customer and turn over the keys to that customer on time. You're also going to have classroom training at our training center. The classroom's a wonderful way for you to get any questions answered that maybe you had about something that was going on job. Maybe you're like, why did we do it that way? I don't really understand, and my journeyman was too busy to answer my questions. So you can bring those questions into the classroom. In the classroom, you're going to learn a lot of theory. So you're going to learn a lot of how electrical works. And then you're also going to start learning the groundwork you'll learn about atomic theory, you'll learn about how electricity works, how to work with it safely, and then you'll start learning the basics, how to use the tools, what common materials are used, how to bend electrical conduit, how to wire electrical circuits, how to wire, as you go through your apprenticeship, it gets more complex, so you'll start learning more specialized systems like motor controls, programmable logic controllers, building automation, solar energy, things like that. We are union affiliated, so we're union electrical workers. A lot of people have questions about what being a union member means. Being a union member basically means that you can work for any one of our union contractors and know that you're always going to be making at least the base wage. And we'll talk about wages in a little minute here. So you know that your wages will stay the same. That means in construction, work slows down quite frequently. So you might be working building a hospital for one contractor, and that job might wrap up, and your contractor may have another job to send you to, but they might not. So if they don't, what you would do is go work for another electrical contractor who needs to have a workforce to build whatever project they're building. And when you're union, when you switch between contractors, your wages stay the same. Your benefit package, so your healthcare, your retirement, all of that, that stays the same. So you always know what your income is going to be. We also guarantee a quality of working conditions. So we work under a contract that the contractor signs, and they agree on certain things that have to do with safety, providing you with a warm, dry place to eat your lunch, fresh drinking water, toilet facilities, that kind of thing, as well as safety on the job. We do a lot of leadership development. So we'll really foster leadership skills within our apprentices, and you may one day become a union leader if that's something that interests you. And it is a big family. So we call each other brother and sister. There's about 5,500 IBEW members in our local. So we're organized under Local 48. If you went to, let's say, Boston, Massachusetts, that would be a different locals. But we're all IBEW. We're just organized into smaller groups that we assign a number to make it a little bit more manageable. Electricians make really good money, and that's probably why a lot of you are interested in it. I don't know if you guys have done any research on our wages and benefit packages, but they're really good. We're also in high demand, even right now during this COVID-19 dilemma that we're in. We can't get enough electricians to work out on our construction sites. So high demand, if you think of electrical, it's often the one thing that homeowners are afraid to do themselves. And it's also a licensed trade, meaning that somebody who owns their own business or company is not allowed to do their own electrical work. You need to be a licensed, insured, and bonded electrician. You can earn your associate's degree through our apprenticeship programs, and that's through Mount Hood Community College. Your whole family gets health insurance, not just the worker. So what you'll find with a lot of the non-union shops is that only the electrical worker themselves is insured, and then they have to pay extra money to insure the rest of their family. And you also get to retire in style. So we have one of the strongest pensions in the country. We actually have 4 different pensions that we retire with. And I've talked to plenty of retired electricians who are actually making more money retired than they were when they were working. So that's not too shabby, huh? So learning a trade, I imagine all of you are in Eric's construction class because you find construction work satisfying. You like that it's active. You like the variety of projects. And you're going to find that in the trades. You're going to find that you are working on projects that are making a lot of impact on your community. So in my career, I've wired 3 different hospitals, one from the ground up, which was the Peter Kohler Pavilion at OHSU, where the aerial tram enters at the top of the hill. I've built a lot of the buildings in the brewery blocks downtown, the Pearl District, the REI store down there. I've remodeled the airport, so their baggage screening system and their fire alarm system. So it's really cool work, and you get to work on so many different projects. Let's talk a little bit about the associate's degree you can get through our apprenticeship program. We provide all of our apprentices a full scholarship. So that means we're paying for your tuition, we're paying for your books, and your online access to the lessons. You also get about $600 worth of hand tools when you first start our apprenticeship program. Not only that, but every term of school you complete, you get a $300 check. That's because the days that you are in school, and we'll talk about how school works in a little bit, you're not getting paid because you're not working. And so that's to offset those lost wages. So you get free school, free books, your first set of hand tools, you get paid for every term of school you complete, and then you'll be about 4 classes shy of your associate's degree. So you'll need to take like I think a writing class, a physical ed class, and a couple other general education requirements in order to get your associates through Mount Hood Community College. So I know a lot of you are kind of grappling with what you want to do when you finish high school, and I think there's a lot of pressure for people to go on to college or university. When I was in high school, that was the message I received. It was if you don't go to college, you're going to be a loser. You're going to be flipping burgers for the rest of your life. And I did go to college. I completed 4 years of university. But I never caught my stride. I never found something that was really interesting and meaningful to me until I started working as an electrician's helper one summer, and literally the light bulb, to use an electrical pun, went off over my head. Realized this is what I want to do. I'm going to get paid to learn, and I'm going to make really good money, and I'm going to be active, and I'm going to see a lot of cool things and work with some interesting people, and it's not going to be dull and boring. So just some of our, yeah.
Are you sharing your screen?
I am.
We're not seeing it.
Oh. That's a bummer. So I've just been yammering at you guys for...
it's good information. But I imagine there's like graphics to go with this. So you have 2 screens, don't you?
I have... Oh, here we go. Application window. I got it. Okay, I skipped a step. Can you see that?
There it goes. I was going to say, don't use the application window, do the screen.
Oh, okay. But can you see? Okay, let me go back then because I'm in the application window right now.
Yeah, the application window is kind of, it doesn't play as well.
Your entire screen. It's not letting me. Oh, there it goes. Oh, I need a high school student to help me with this tech.
Okay. There's the vortex. Okay. And then, yeah, if you drag that up.
Can you see that?
Yep. Just maximize that. And then that should be, as long as that's the screen that has your presentation. There we go. Perfect. You got it.
Cool. Okay.
All right. Carry on.
Okay, so thank you for letting me know that. Okay, so if you just look at this chart, it shows how much money you're paying out as a university student versus how much money you're actually going to be earning for each year of the 5-year Inside Electrician electrical program. So instead of going into debt every year, you're actually going to be earning decent. I mean, 40 grand for your first year on a job is pretty good. So your second year as an apprentice, you're earning about 50 grand. Your third year, about 62 grand. Your fourth year, about 78. When you journey out, the average salary for a union electrician, if you work full-time year-round, is almost $100,000 a year. There's often tons of overtime available, especially in today's economy. However, like I said before, in construction, there will be some slow times because our industry slows down with the economy. So there might be some years where you're not quite making that much. So on the job training, you're going to work a typical work week. We're going to place you with an employer. Construction hours are typically start anywhere from 6 to 7:30 in the morning, and then your day ends anywhere from 2:30 to 3:30 in the morning, in the afternoon. So you kind of have to be an early bird. There are sometimes opportunities to work swing shift or graveyard shift, and those always come with more money. So I think it was, let's see, when I was working at the airport, I was working graveyard for a little while, and I was making an extra $600 a week, or a month rather. So you do make some extra income by working those oddball shifts. I'm talking about construction electrician here. It's very possible you could go out after you've journeyed out and gotten your license, and you could potentially become like a facilities maintenance electrician. I have some friends that journeyed out, and one of them now works at the airport as an airport electrician. I have somebody that works up at OHSU as like a hospital electrician. And so those shifts, I imagine, will vary from typical construction work shifts.
And we have somebody, I think Jared's in here, who is actually interested in being a lineman. I don't know if you can talk to that.
I can point you in the direction of who to contact or give you the website on how to become a lineman. They are also IBEW. Well, there's different routes you can take. But IBEW Local 125 is the lineman's union. And their school, I believe, is still up in Vancouver. I know they were working on building a new facility. I'm not sure if that is completed yet, but I can give you the website. It's nwjatc.com. Oh, I'm sorry, nwline, LINE, jatc.com. So when you're an apprentice with us, you're going to go to school for 2 terms each year. Each year is 10 weeks, and you're only going to school 1 day a week during your term. So you're basically in school about 20 days out of the year. The photo that's on your screen is a photo of our conduit lab. Conduit is basically it's a stick of pipe. So we take a straight stick of pipe, and we need to hand fabricate it in the field so that if we need to get around an obstacle, like you can see on that whiteboard there, they're running a pipe out of a box, and then they encounter, it looks like a 6 1/8 inch obstacle, round obstacle, that they need to get that pipe around. And so we actually use trigonometry to determine the angle of our bends, the distance between our bends, and there's some other factors involved in fabricating that pipe to make it fit just right so it can get over that obstacle and then return on its original course. So we train for 3 different electrical licenses. Inside electrician, that's the license I carry. That's commercial industrial work. So you'll be working on anything from hospitals, airports, grocery stores, apartment buildings. You might work in a wind farm. So you could, if you're really into heights and that kind of adrenaline rush, which I definitely am. Never had the opportunity to work in a wind turbine, but always thought it would be fun. You could go off and work in the wind farms if you wanted. You could be putting solar panels on a rooftop. There's so many different things that inside electricians can do. And that license also covers the work of a limited energy tech and a limited residential electrician. So if you get that license, it means you can do the work of the other 2 licenses as well. Our second license is the limited energy technician license. That's low voltage stuff. So things like telephone and internet, access control, where maybe you need to swipe a badge to get into a locked door, security systems, CCTV. They work on anything that's 100 volts or less. And then we have our limited residential electrician program, which means any residence 3 stories or less is what you would be working on. So you could be maybe driving a service van, going to different customers' homes and maybe fixing their electrical problems, or you could be wiring a brand new housing community where you're wiring house after house after house after they get framed. So this Inside Electrician program is 8,000 hours of on-the-job training that takes most people about 5 years to complete. You start out at 19 bucks an hour. You get a raise every 6 to 9 months. And then when you journey out, you're making $47.85 an hour plus $24.75 in your benefit package. So that's a total wage and benefit package of $72.60 an hour. When I talk about benefits, I talked about it a little bit before when I talked about some of the good things about being a union electrician is that that's your health care, covers your whole family. We have 3 different health plans to choose from depending on what your family's needs are. And then your retirement and pension plans. Limited energy technician is a 6,000 hour apprenticeship. So that takes most people about 3.5 years to complete. They also start out at $19 an hour. They get a raise every 6 months. They're making $38.87 once they get their license, plus $21.65 in benefits. So that's a total wage and benefit package of $60.52 per hour. And then your limited residential electrician is 4,000 hours. That takes most people about 2.5 years to complete. They start at 17 bucks an hour. They get a raise every 6 months. They journey out making $30.62 an hour plus $15.91 in benefits. And before I got into the commercial program, I worked 3 years residential. And I really kind of liked it. It was very fast paced. It was a lot of like crawling through attics and crawl spaces and things like that. But I kind of liked that stuff. It's very physical. And it's also oftentimes you're trying to figure out what the homeowner has already done to screw up the electrical system. So it's a lot of problem solving, a lot of puzzles, a lot of troubleshooting, trying to figure out not only why it's not working, how you can make it work, but also how do you fish a wire from the basement of a house that was built in the early 1900s, maybe up to a master bedroom on the 3rd floor. So a lot of problem solving with residential. It doesn't just stop with getting your license. You could follow many different career paths. You could become a foreman, general foreman, supervisor. So these are all kind of management positions, and they all come with extra pay. You could become a safety officer, making sure everybody is being safe on the job and has everything they need to work safely. You could open your own electrical contracting business, so you could become your own boss. You could go on to become an electrical inspector. So our work has to be inspected by an electrical inspector before we're allowed to energize it and turn it over to the customer. You could become an instructor, work at the training center like I do, or you could go into union leadership. So there's a lot of different career paths that are made possible through apprenticeship. We are drug-free, so we drug test pre-employment randomly and if you're involved in an accident or an injury. Even though marijuana is legal in Oregon and Washington, it's not federally legal, so we still don't allow for marijuana use. And really the main reason is because there's no way for us to test. There's not an affordable test for us to be able to test if somebody's currently under the influence or they may be smoked over the weekend. But we do have it written into our contract language that once that test is affordable and readily available, then we will abolish the marijuana use, unless you're working on a federal job. So if you're working on a federal job, you won't be able to smoke. You do get paid $50 every time you take a pee test. So that's kind of a nice way to compensate you for your time. Let's talk a little bit about the application process. You need to either have graduated high school or have your GED, and you need to meet our math requirement. So you need to make sure you're meeting those requirements and then apply during an application opening. Eric, you are a Boley recognized pre-apprenticeship, right?
Yes, for the HVAC program.
For the HVAC. So for the HVAC program, anybody who graduates from that program has the added benefit of they can apply anytime we're open. They don't have to wait for an application opening. We usually only open in the winter and the summer. With COVID-19, we haven't taken any applications this year. So I imagine, I mean, don't hold me to this, but I imagine that once we are able to reopen our school for business, that we'll probably take applications at that point.
Okay, I want to clarify on that one because this is new information. So if they complete any pre-apprenticeship program,
any that's recognized by BOLI,
right?
Bureau of Labor Industries, yeah.
That's good. That'll get some people in our HVAC program because I know a lot of people want to get into the electrical, and you guys do your own. You've got your proprietary pre-apprenticeship that you guys hold on to, right?
We do, yeah. Unfortunately, we had to cancel this summer's one, but yeah. But yeah, we'll do it hopefully next year. This is we're hoping for a grant extension so we can keep doing that. And even if we don't get the grant extension, we're hoping to fund it somehow ourselves. So the application process, you need to meet our minimum qualifications. I'll talk about those in a second. For inside electrician and limited energy, you also need to aptitude test, and I'll talk about that. We don't aptitude test for residential. If you pass the aptitude test, or if you're residential and you submit a qualifying application, then you will have an interview. Your interview score determines your rank on our list. And so when we have a need for new apprentices, we'll pull off that list in ranked order. So basically the people who interviewed the best are going to go out first. We're going to put you through a 2-week basic skills class, and that's going to be held at our training center. I'll talk about that on another slide as well. So let's talk about that first step, meeting the qualifications. You need to have graduated high school or college from an accredited school with at least a 2.0 GPA, or have a GED with a 600 overall score and at least a 150 on the math section. In addition to that high school GPA, you need 1 full year of high school algebra with a C or better. And I've got to tell you, when you're in your interview, they go over your transcript and they read your math and science grades out loud. So the better you do in math, the less you're going to sweat in that interview, first of all, but the better it's just going to look. Because we as electricians, we do a lot of math, we do a lot of algebra, we do a lot of trigonometry. So having those high math scores is going to boost you a little bit in that interview. You could take a college class, get a C or better in that. So that's my recommendation for you folks as you're finishing up your high school years. Start buckling down on that math if you really want to become an electrician. If you meet those qualifications, you're scheduled to take your aptitude test. So that's going to be reading comprehension and algebra. We do, if you go to our website, nietc.org, and I posted under discussions in the group, you'll see a discussions that says electricians, and I posted a bunch of links, including a link to our website, a link to our online orientation, and then also I believe I posted a PDF of the flyers for our programs. For residential, you just need to have graduated high school or college. There's no GPA requirement, or have your GED. And then for the math, you need to have a year of high school math with a passing grade, so any kind of high school math. So if you meet those requirements, you're going to be interviewed and ranked. It's a panel interview, so that means there's going to be about 4 to 6 people probably in that interview room with you. And they're representatives from the contractors, so those are basically potential bosses of yours. There'll be some union folks in there, coordinator, people like that. And they're going to be looking at, probably first and foremost, is your interest in the trade. We get tons of applications because it's good wages and it's free education, but a lot of the people that are applying only for those reasons. And those are the folks that generally, historically, tend to either drop out further down the road or they fail. So we're looking for folks who are truly interested in the trade. How do you demonstrate that? By taking classes like Eric's classes, showing that you're interested in it early on in high school, that you're taking these classes, you're learning how to use some tools, you're practicing your construction math, your mechanical skills, and then work ethic. They're going to be real interested in, hey, we're going to be paying you some pretty good money. Are you going to actually show up every day? Can we depend on you? So construction, is a lot of teamwork. And if half the crew doesn't show up because they're hungover or they just felt like going fishing for the day, that's a real problem for our contractors to be able to get the jobs completed on time. If they can't get their jobs completed on time, they're not going to get hired again, which means you also won't have work. So our contractors' success depends a lot on your success. So you'll get scored and ranked. When you get pulled off that ranked list, you'll go through 2 weeks of orientation, safety training. You'll learn some electrical theory, like how it all works, or how some of it works. In 2 weeks, it's hard to teach a whole lot. You'll learn some circuit wiring. You'll be actually spending a lot of hands-on time working in our labs, wiring electrical circuits, using some tools like rotohammers, portable bandsaws, things like that. And you'll be bending some conduit. When you finish that class, you'll be assigned to an employer and you'll start working. So you do want to be competitive. I think I saw in that chat room some questions about how you can start preparing. So this is where you want to start preparing. So, take those CTE and STEM classes, construction tech, HVAC, welding, metals, robotics. Take any classes like that you can find. I saw a notice on one of your boards about the PNCI construction camp, I think is what it's called. Things like that. So any kind of summer things you can do, after school things. Other than that, get some experience. So volunteer for places like Habitat for Humanity, the Rebuilding Center, places that do construction work. Hobbies are great. If you're the kind of person like I am, that's real hands-on, likes to do projects, work on things, fix things, build things, start documenting that. Take photos. Before and after photos are great. Otherwise, just take a photo and write a caption that explains the tools you used and your planning process and how you made it all come together. So that could be a home project, helping your parents out around the house, build a fence, build a deck, build a shed, anything like that, working on your car. And then there's pre-apprenticeship programs. And pre-apprenticeships kind of help you prepare for a true apprenticeship program. We have our own that's electrical. Most pre-apprenticeships you get to explore all the different trades and figure out which one is a good fit for you. If you know that you want to go electrical, we have our own pre-apprenticeship. Unfortunately, that was canceled this summer, but we will hold one next summer, more than likely. So in your application portfolio, you want a cover letter, and we really want to know why you're choosing electrical. Why, out of all the other possible trades, what is it about electricity that's interesting to you? Why do you want to be a union electrical worker? Your resume should really highlight your hands-on skills and your hobbies. Letters of recommendation. If any of you have ever had a job, even if it was completely unrelated to construction, like you worked at a restaurant or a gas station, that's really good because that shows what work is and the value of work and the value of showing up every day and being reliable. So ask for letters of recommendation from those employers. Get letters of recommendation from teachers, coaches, things like that. And then also photos. So really put in some photos of stuff that you've been working on in Eric's class, your hobbies that you do, projects you work on at home. And well, this is no longer happening right now, but you can watch our orientation at our website, nietc.org. It's a YouTube link, so you'll be taken to YouTube to watch that. I'm going to close this and check in on the questions here. Do you have to graduate high school? Okay, so I answered that, yes. People telling me I wasn't sharing my screen, but I didn't have the chat box in front of me, so I couldn't see that. How long will I be learning daily? So you're going to be working on a typical job site. So when you're on the job, you're going to be working whatever hours that job site is. So about 8 hours a day. Some contracts you'll be working 4 10-hour days, so you'll have a 3-day weekend. And then you could also be working overtime. How much learning will be in the classroom and how much will be on the job? The bulk of it, so 8,000 hours is on the job. The rest of the hours, so 10 terms of school in the classroom for the inside program, 7 terms of school for limited energy, and 5 terms of school for residential. Yes, you can apply for a pre-apprenticeship program as soon as you graduate, as long as they're taking applications. Where can I apply once I graduate? Okay, so our school is at 16021 Northeast Airport Way, but we do need to be taking applications for you to come in to apply. So keep an eye on our website for those application announcements. Unless you've graduated a pre-apprenticeship, then you can apply anytime. I already answered how much you're making each year. JTC lineman, I answered that. It's funny hearing this because it always sounds like a get-rich-quick scheme. Well, it's not a scheme. It's a lot of hard work. You're not getting rich quick. You're going through some pretty rigorous training. It's challenging. We do have people that fail from our program because they are, they don't take it seriously. They don't put in the work. They don't put in the effort. So you get paid to learn how to make money and then make more money than before when you stop working, right? Potentially. So if you start building your pension plan at your age, when you graduate high school, that pension is going to be pretty big when you journey out or when you retire. If you get into the trades, and we have some people start their career in the trades at the age of 40, 45, even some 50-year-olds. Their pension's not going to be as big because they haven't been contributing for as long. What are the different routes? I believe I answered that question about the different apprenticeship programs and how to apply. So if I didn't, just put another clarifying question in the chat box again. All right. Okay, I think I answered how much you'll be earning starting out and then when you end. I don't know the starting wage for a lineman, unfortunately. Very cash money, yes. But it comes with a lot of work. There are days where I went home and I kind of just wanted to fall asleep in my boots, you get real tired sometimes. Sometimes your days will be a little more chill. And that's what's kind of cool about construction is when you're putting the meat and bones of the building together, a lot of it's hustle, 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 heavy work, up and down ladders all day. You're setting heavy electrical equipment. You're pulling some pretty big electrical wires. But then as the project starts to wrap up, you start doing some of the more finishing touches. So you're installing light fixtures, light switches, receptacles. And that tends to be a lot more chill. Can you talk about what it means to journey out? So journeying out is kind of like graduating and getting your degree. We're a licensed trade. And so that means that once you complete your requirement of how many hours of on-the-job training you need and your school hours, then you need to take your state license exam. And because we're an inspected trade, because an inspector has to come and look at our work. And primarily that's because in our job, we have the potential to kill people and to burn down buildings. And so we need to have that extra layer of licensure. And we also need to have that inspector come in and put a second set of eyes on our work to make sure we didn't miss anything. So that's what journeying out means. Tips for the interview. I would say make sure you're definitely arriving on time. You don't want to be late for that. They might not even interview you if you're late. And if they do interview you, it's probably not going to go very well. You really want to show your enthusiasm. I've sat in on those interviews and there have been people that come in and they act like it's not a big deal to them. They could have just been nervous and they kind of freeze. So that's why interview practice is really important. You want to make sure that you're comfortable in an interview before you enter our interview because you probably will be nervous and you don't want to appear to be unenthusiastic. You want your enthusiasm to show. And you also want to really show that you've done your research, that you know what electricians do, you know what daily life is like, you know what the work is like, what the job entails. Because they're going to find out right away whether or not you really know what you're getting yourself into. Different routes for alignment, I don't know. I'm sorry. I can, let me pull up a document. I'm not still sharing my screen, am I? Okay. Let me pull up a document for you, and I can go in and add this to the resources that I already added. But it's a pretty nice, it's called At a Glance, and it lists all of the union building trades apprenticeships, their starting wage, their hourly benefits, what their minimum requirements are. So if we go down to line worker, you can see their contact information is here. These wages might be higher now. They typically don't update their information on this form very often, and so these might actually be higher. So in journey wage, last time they updated it was $50.72 an hour with $17.41 in benefits. And then they also have their power line clearance and tree trimmer program, where basically you're going in and you are clearing power lines of tree limbs, tree branches, so that they don't cause a power outage. So that's another option through their training center as well. All right. Do we have any other questions?
Silence from the ranks there. That was a lot of information, Bridget. Thank you.
I know. It's a lot. But hopefully I answered all the questions. Is anybody still on even?
Oh yeah, there's we've got about 10 people here. When you're done, I'll do I want to show them something really quick so that we can continue this here.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I'll give you a couple more minutes to type out any questions you might have. Otherwise, I'll hand it over to Eric.
All right, I'm going to grab control here, and I'm going to share my screen with you guys really quick. All right, so if you guys go into the groups and RHS Woodshop, which is where you came to start, if you go to discussions right here, we're going to have a discussion for each of our visitors. So we've been doing the IBEW electricians. If you click in here, there's introduction from Bridget. There's the documents that she shared right there in PDF form. And if you've got a question or something, just add it in down there. And I will continue to look through this throughout the next 4 weeks and probably even into the summer. If I don't have the answer, I'll ask Bridget or I'll ask somebody. I'll post it back there. Or if it's something you really need to know, I'll just email it directly to you. But just so you guys know, right here in that discussions tab is where you'll find any extra information and continue conversation. So if you think of something later, pop it there, or you can just email it to me too.
And I am uploading at Glance right now, so you should have that in a. My internet's really slow, but you should. Oh, actually, that went pretty quickly.
So Jose, do you have to wait for a pre-apprenticeship program to open up? So as a senior, yeah, you would have to find something that's out there. So like you could have done the electricians this summer if they had it. If you're a junior or below, a great option for you would be to take the HVAC pre-apprenticeship class. It's specific to HVAC, but it's a lot of hands-on work. And then we're actually working on getting another pre-apprenticeship program that would be more general, like Bridget described, where you're doing exploring the trades. But that's going to be a year out.
That's cool. If you go to the application tips PDF that I posted under the electricians, IBEW Local 48 Training Center discussion thread, there's also a list of adult pre-apprenticeships that you can go through. So once you graduate high school, if you haven't been able to complete a pre-apprenticeship program while you were in high school, you can find some adult pre-apprenticeship programs listed, as well as some construction-related volunteer groups that you can join to get some more experience.
Cool. What does success look like in the inside electrician position, and how do you measure it? How do you measure success?
I would say the way that you measure success would be when you journey out, there's so many aspects of the electrical industry that there's no way that we are going to be able to expose you to every piece of our industry. But after completing our training, you should be well equipped and knowledgeable to feel confident taking any job out there that shows up on the dispatch list of available work and going out and knowing that you can figure it out. So I think that confidence of knowing the industry, having a firm grasp of electrical theory is going to help you be able to conquer any job, even if you haven't actually done it before as an apprentice. Success also to some people means, they're very rarely laid off. So if you think about our industry and how it's cyclical with the economy, if a contractor has 2 employees and they can only keep 1 because their work has slowed down or they're at the end of the job, which one do you think they're going to keep? The one that's reliable, that shows up every day, or the one that doesn't? So that's another indicator of your success is how much you're valued by your contractor. And I will just say also, having worked with a ton of apprentices, I've seen them all different types. So I might have an apprentice who is kind of cocky and thinks they know everything, and maybe they know a lot, and maybe they have a lot of skills and they're very mechanically inclined and they're very able to do the job, but their attitude is lacking, and maybe they don't show up very often, or they're calling in sick, and they're not reliable, or they're difficult to work with. I'd much rather have an apprentice who's got a killer attitude, maybe hasn't had the fortune of having a lot of experience that other person has had, but they're teachable, and I know that they're going to learn, and they're going to be there, and they're going to learn what I show them. So that attitude makes a huge difference. Hopefully that answered your question, Abel.
Hey, if you guys have your microphones, you can unmute now, and if nothing else, just say a quick hi and thank you so she can hear your voices and know that I'm not just like
freedom
characters.
Thank you for coming in, Bridget.
Jared, you're very welcome.
Well, I really appreciate your time. You so far have the prize for the biggest audience so far. So thank you for bringing them out of the woodwork.
Okay. Well, I hope you guys are all surviving your quarantine at home, online learning.
So far, so good. Well, Bridget, again, thank you so much. We'll let you log off. Right. Give your puppy some love from all of us.
Okay, and I will, I think I added my contact info on that discussion thread. If I didn't, I'll go and add that in.
Okay, perfect. And if we have questions, we'll shoot them your way.
Great. All right. Well, thanks, guys.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
See you.
And there will be a recording of this I'll post up in a day or 2.